Welcome to the New Era Podcast, a fresh space where we talk love, life, growth, money moves, marriages, relationships, mindset, and everything in between. Hosted by me, Courtney. This is where real talk meets wisdom, humor, conversations that help you grow through what you're going through. Whether you're navigating relationships, leveling up in life, or just need a word, you're in the right place. It is time to align, thrive, and embrace your next era. Hey, you guys, we are back for another episode of the New Era Podcast. And as you can see, if you're watching us on YouTube, I have a beautiful guest, and we did not plan this at all. We have on the same beautiful color. So if you're listening to this podcast audibly, go on over to YouTube and see this beautiful soul that I am sitting down with. Her name is Tasha, y'all. She is going to talk about credit today, talk about the finances, talk about budgeting. Y'all know in this climate, we need this. We need this so much. So I am so glad that she accepted my invitation to sit down and talk to my audience about finances. I don't want to just give y'all things about love and things about life and things about, people's past abuse and all that stuff. I want to give y'all some finances too, because I told y'all it's about money moves. So yes. So thank you so much, Tasha. Can you please introduce yourself and what do you do?
All right. So I'm Tasha from the Major Change Group, and I have a YouTube channel, which is the Major Change Group. And we talk about credit cards, increasing your credit score. That's the big thing right now. And even budgeting, because especially just like you said, within the climate that we're in, like how can we get our money right? And that's the biggest thing that we're trying to do, keep our money in our pocket. And then I talk about travel because I love using credit cards. I got 14 credit cards, and I just use my points and cash back for travel. So that's what I'd like to talk about on my channel.
Wow. I definitely want to get into that. I have not, like the points, I have not, I haven't done a lot of points yet. So I definitely want to dive into that. So can you first tell us how did the Major Change Group, how did it get started?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, man, this goes back to probably 2012 or 2013, even though I started my YouTube channel in February of 2019 during Black History Month. And so back then, I would be because I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and Dave Ramsey is here. So on my lunch break and things like that, I would listen to the Dave Ramsey show. And so I was always a budgeter, but I love credit cards, and I would just overspend on credit cards. And so I was accumulating credit card debt and things like that, but I could still budget. And so I would help people with their budgets. And one day I was just like, you know what? I really want to talk about it, but I'm like, with me having credit card debt, it just don't seem right. So all that time went by, and I would just do my budget, and then I got out of credit card debt. And so in I would say maybe 2018, I was like, I'm gonna start me a YouTube channel, but I didn't know what I wanted to do at first. And so I said, first, maybe I could go to restaurants, or maybe I could do some Zumba. But then I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do travel, budgeting, and credit cards. And so around that time, I was like peer mentoring at church. And so they had us do a 60-second video, and mine was going to be on preparation. So we had to pick a word, 60 seconds. Girl, I'm telling you, I probably did that video 60 times just to get 60 seconds. And that was my first video. So I said, you know what? That's going to be my first video. And so I probably did that in January, but I didn't post it until February. Okay. And then that's how I got started. And then that's how the Major Change Group came about. And so I was talking about how to increase your credit score. That's what I was talking about first. And then I just moved into budgeting and credit cards. And now all this time, that's what I do. 14 credit cards later.
So what did the name come up with? You came up with
You know what? People ask me that. And it was like, at first, I kind of wanted to do, because you know how we'll be like, I can't wait till Friday. So I wanted it to be something like that. And then I came up with the Major Change Group. And honestly, I cannot remember how I did that. But what I say on my channel, small changes can create big results. Because I feel like it's really the little small things that we do to be able to get to the big result. And so that's how I came up with that.
Okay, I like it. I like it. So at what point did you realize like you really and truly want to help people? I know you wanted to, help yourself, but what
Mhm.
did you say, hey, you know what? I think my information, what I learned can help others.
Well, even back then, because at first I was like, you know what, I really want to help single parent moms, or then I was just like helping the college kids. And so, I would help out family members, help them, get their budget in order. So I started off kind of doing it that way. And then, I started the YouTube channel. Now, I will say this because it's just like, honestly, I never thought it would be YouTube. Because you know how on Saturdays you would go to the library and then it would be like somebody would be in a conference room and there was like 6 or 8 people in the conference
Yeah.
room. I probably thought I would do something like that on the weekends opposed to an actual YouTube channel because it's just like honestly for me, y'all, I'm kind of like a behind the scenes kind of person. And even most of my friends, they can't even believe that I have a YouTube channel. But it wasn't until, because that was 2019. So yeah, before that, I did Toastmasters where you could do public speaking. And so if it wasn't even for Toastmasters, I probably wouldn't even have the YouTube channel because it helped me to be able to, find my voice to speak in front of people.
Wow. I love that. I love
Hmm.
that.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. Like Eddie is a behind the scenes type. He used to be, but we can see that that's not him no more.
Yeah.
But yeah, he done blossomed.
Yeah, yeah, it
uh,
does. 'Cause it's scary because that's the number one scariest thing. Like
yeah.
I can remember the first time I had went to the Toastmasters and they have this thing where you can get up and speak for, I want to say 2 minutes. And literally I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. I got up there. Literally, I thought I spoke for 5 minutes. I spoke for like 20 or 30 seconds because they'll time you.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. And so but I just blossom within that. And it's like, even still, sometimes when I get on, like I'll be nervous a little bit, but once I get started, I can do pretty good.
Yeah. I still get nerves. Like I got a little nervous even, when starting this. So,
Yeah.
nerves come, they just come, but
Hmm.
then they
Yeah.
they flee away.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For
I
sure.
love that. I love the fact that you thought you was gonna start out just doing something, and now look at you, and your base has grown. Like your supporters have grown because I've seen you. I don't know, maybe maybe 1,000, under 1,000. I don't know. I can't remember when I seen you, but you have really and truly blossomed. So that's amazing because now look at where you are now, the growth. I mean, and you're helping other people. That's the biggest thing about it.
Yeah, yeah. Cause see, it's so funny because it's like even with my YouTube channel, I'm not always as consistent as I should be. And the other day, somebody had emailed me and they was telling me, thank you for, what you do and all that kind of stuff. And it's just stuff like that to where it really makes it worth it.
Yeah, it does.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So
Yep.
now let's get into credit and money moves. So as far as what's the most common credit mistake that people make that keeps them stuck in a rut?
Wow. Well, I'm gonna say budgeting, but I'm gonna move past that and then maybe we can get back in it because I'm gonna say, especially with our credit score, the number one thing that we kind of mess up on is credit card utilization. Because I think if we tackle our credit card utilization, man, if you tackle your credit card utilization, you can increase your credit score so high. Because the thing is, we want to get approved for credit cards, we want the high credit card limits. But if we have high credit card utilization, that's not going to help. So with our credit card utilization, we want to be 30% or less. And really a sweet spot, especially when it comes to if you go onto the experience site, it's going to say 7% or less. And so to be able to get your credit card utilization under 30 or even 7%, the lower the better is the way to go.
So explain to somebody that don't know, they may be brand new to what credit
Mhm.
card utilization is. So explain to them what does that mean?
Yeah, so let's say you have a credit card for $1,000 and then you owe $500. So that's going to be a 50% credit card utilization. And that's not good because if you have high credit card utilization, the bank is going to see you as a risk. And either one, they won't give you higher credit, or two, it will for sure decrease your credit score. And we want to have a high credit score so that we can get more credit.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a lot of stuff I would just say over the years that I have learned about credit. I was
Yeah.
not like I really and truly could care less really about my credit. Probably until it came to me wanting some and needing something. But I
Right.
was not very like I was not consistent about making sure things were now I will pay my bills, but
Right.
I just didn't know what affect my credit and what didn't affect my credit, you know. So I
Mm,
didn't know about credit card utilization. In fact, Eddie was, you know, he is like supreme when it comes to his credit. Like he's
okay.
not going to let that. Me, on the other hand, I used to could care less.
But you
So
know what?
now,
But
huh?
let me say this, because you said you hit it right on the nail. I would say that's probably the number one thing. Waiting until you need something to get your credit in order.
Yeah.
And so, really, I want to back up a little bit. Our credit is made up of five components. So, we have our payment history, our credit card utilization, our length of credit, our new credit, and our credit mix. So, one is very important for us to pay stuff on time. And then two, not have high credit card utilization. And then three, with the length of credit, you build on that. And then four, with our new credit, like me, I'll be trying to apply for two credit cards in one time, four credit cards in a year. And sometimes when you are applying for a lot of new credit, it doesn't look good. And so you have to kind of take a look at that. But I would say the number one thing is have your credit be good all the time so that when you need it, you can get it.
Listen, when it comes to credit card utilization, so you talked about that, and this is something I learned. So I want you to speak on this because I'm quite sure you're the guru, so I'm quite sure you know this. So when it comes to, okay, just say for instance, I have three credit cards in my name or whatever, but my husband has five, and his credit, he don't use those credit cards that much, and they have a high limit and stuff. And can he not put me as an authorized user on those credit cards just
Mhm.
to help build my credit score even
Oh,
more?
yes. Yes, that's amazing. Because, see, that's what happened. The person that had emailed me, they had added, I want to say their sister and I believe their wife on their credit card. And so once you add them on a credit card now, the thing is you want to be added to somebody that got good credit, got
Mhm.
good payment history. All those things is good because you don't want to be adding to somebody that's, their stuff is not good. So adding to somebody that has all those good things, and so then you're kind of piggybacking off of them so that it can increase your credit. And that's really good. So let's say if you have high schoolers, maybe 15, go ahead and add them on a card. Now, you don't have to give them the card. You can just add them on it and then it can start increasing their credit or husband, wife, whoever. And so I've added people as a authorized user, but I didn't give them the card.
Yeah,
And so, yeah. Yeah. So I definitely think that's the way to go. If you have, if you a couple or whoever it is, if you want to help them to increase their credit score, that's a real easy way to be able to do it.
it is. I love that. And I hate that we're like, I'm gonna say me, I'm just not finding out about it. I would say over the years, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hate that we don't know this much in our community, you know, and
Yeah.
it's not taught like finances, savings, investments, retirement accounts, all of that stuff is not taught enough in our community. And
Right.
I hate that. So let me ask you this. What are the some of the credit myths that you hear all the time that just aren't true?
Credit myths. I don't know that I can think right offhand, but okay, no, I take that back. Okay, one, because I think this is not necessarily correct, because I would say this is around credit card utilization. So sometimes people say to build credit, you have to pay interest on credit cards,
Mm.
and you don't. And so one thing that I talk about on my channel and one thing that I really do, because see, really, I just want to tell everybody about this. Now, for me, I haven't paid interest on a credit card in a long time, but I want to say 2 months ago. So really maybe like $15 I paid this year. But I'm just like, that ain't even right. Because what had happened was I had because you know how sometime on the weekends you don't want to get on the computer. And
Mhm.
so I knew that that bill was coming up on my American Express. And that American Express, I got three American Express credit cards. Man, why was all of them, they were late, but they didn't report. And so then the next day, so something was telling me, and so then they made me end up paying. Even so, I called them and had them reverse it. So they reversed it, but I still ended up having to pay interest. But really, what I'm saying is, I use my credit cards for pretty much 85 to 90% of my spend. But even with me using my credit cards for all of my spend, I don't pay interest on my credit cards, even though I report. Because, see, we have our due date and we have our statement date. And our statement date is when the creditor reports to the credit bureau. So that's why no matter if you max out the credit card, it depends on how you pay the credit card off to where I could max out the credit card, but if I pay it off before the statement date, then I can only report 7% or under 30% or however much I want to report. But even within that, I can pay it off in a certain way to where I'm not paying interest. And so
Mm.
I don't believe that you have to pay interest on a credit card to, build your credit.
Yeah. Wow, I never heard that myth before. Yeah. Wow, paying interest. No, we don't want to pay interest.
Yeah, no, you don't have to pay no interest on a credit card
Yeah.
to, and it's not even that they say that it has to be a lot, but I don't think that you have to pay interest on a credit card to, that's it. Cause I was like, well, what do I think? But I would say that's one that I've heard, especially around credit card utilization, and that's not true.
Okay, so can you break down the most important factors that really move the needle on your credit score? And I think you kind of talked about that, and you kind of talked about it in order.
Yeah, because I would say the thing is, you have the two most important 65% of your credit score is going to be your payment history and your credit card utilization. Now, with your payment history, you it could be late, but you don't want it to report by the end of the month and report on your credit report late, and then it'll be delinquent. So like I did, it was late, but I had called it in enough time to where it didn't report. And so they were able to go ahead and reverse, the 25 or 35 that they had put on there, but it didn't report. Because if you get a late payment on your credit report, man, that's awful, because you can really, especially, maybe 30 days, but you don't want that on there because it'll stay on there for 7 years. And so if you start getting into 30, 60, 120 day, and then collections and all that kind of stuff like that, that's gonna tear your credit up. And then with your credit card utilization, so that's why I say with credit card utilization, if you tackle that, then you can increase your credit score so fast. And so you can play around with your credit card utilization. So I would say those are the two most important parts.
So, what are the first steps that you recommend for somebody that's trying to rebuild their credit? Do you recommend, what is it, those credit
Credit
consolidations?
repairs.
Yeah, credit repairs.
Well, what I would say first is, and so this is where I would say getting into budgeting. So, one, I would do a budget and I would write every single thing down. So, one, I would write down all of my expenses, all of my bills, and then two, all of my debt. Because you want your foundation to be solid, and you want to know, where am I starting? What's my starting point? And then once you get all of your credit cards and well, how much do I owe? What are my interest rates? What is my due date? And what is my statement date? Then that can help you to figure out, is any of them late? And so how can I get out of the late bucket? And that's going to be for your credit cards and your regular bills. Once I start writing everything down, how can I get current on everything? And so then with your budget, know how much do you have coming in compared to going out, and then how much do you have left over. And so then with the debt, you've written everything down. Okay, I'm paying this monthly on all the credit cards, and then this is how much I have left over. How can I pay the debt down? And so that can help you to be more organized. And then okay, I'm kind of here, I would suggest doing a balance transfer. That's how I got out of debt, doing a balance transfer. But I think a person can do all of this on their own. And that's what the individual that sent me the email, he was telling me, with his sister and his wife being able to get their credit. So to me, I feel like you can be able to do credit repair on yourself. Because I think to me, it's very easy, because one, we can't be afraid to take a look at it.
Mhm.
So that's number one, going on to annualcreditreport.com to be able to pull our credit report and pull it for each credit bureau. So you have Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And then you want to pull your credit scores as well, and then really just see what's on there. And then you can get in order, with the other things that I said. But first, just taking a look at it and knowing where your starting point is. Because once you know where your starting point, then you know what you can do.
Do you recommend like any kind of apps that somebody can, download to help them keep up with all of that?
Hmm. I don't really do the apps. I know that there's some out there, but I really started off pen and paper.
Okay.
It's no excuse, pen and paper. And then I know Dave Ramsey has a app, or I'm pretty sure it's an app. And then I know that there are a lot out there, but honestly, I haven't used them. I use pen and paper, and then even myself, I have a digital budget planner. But because I was walking the other day and somebody asked me, and I said, "Really, pen and paper? That's how you doing it. So just start where you can, and then as you get better, because you know what? Sometimes I feel like with doing the apps and stuff, it can but when you just write it down on paper, it's something about writing it to me that makes it like I really feel it a little bit more. And so
Yeah, it makes it
yeah,
real.
it makes it real.
I think it
Yeah,
makes it real.
yeah,
In a
yeah,
digital world, everything is on our phones
yeah.
and our computers. But I actually writing it down, and you can actually
Hmm.
see like Target or whatever you
Yeah.
owe. Writing
Hmm.
it down, then you can actually see it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know you talked about Dave Ramsey. I used to follow Dave Ramsey a long time ago, and I know
Hmm.
he talks about the snowball, dead
Yeah.
snowball.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That snowball. Yep.
Yeah. So do you recommend that a person would start like that to start, paying off their debt?
Yes, yes, of course. And I've done Dave Ramsey before, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I probably gotten out of debt maybe like two times. And it was like one time I cut off all the credit cards, and I didn't have credit cards for a while. And then I was just doing my budget. And then I don't know if it was like maybe for a year, maybe two. And then I was like, you know what? I think I can probably do this again. And so then that's when I started doing the credit cards again. And I haven't looked back ever since, because this is what I'll say. Even though I don't agree with everything that Dave Ramsey says, because I love credit cards and he say don't use credit cards. But what I really think that doing the total money makeover, I think what it did was it gives you a foundation and it gives you discipline. Because I think with credit cards, you want to get to a point to where, like, honestly, even though I have 14 credit cards, I don't need credit cards. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think once you get to that point, that's the point that you want to be in, because it's just like I didn't want, because the thing is, it's not even like sometimes we don't have the money. And I feel like sometimes in the black neighbor, in the black, like what we want to do is we want to use the credit, like we want to use the credit cards however we want to use the credit cards. I feel like we disassociated with the credit cards in a way, so where it's just like, oh, I'm gonna spend it however I want. I don't really care about credit card debt in a sense, and
Right.
maybe that could be just me. But then once you get in those credit card bills, and then once it started getting up, because man, I've had some high credit card debt. But the last time I had, I want to say it was maybe like 11,000, either 812 and some change. And I was just like, it didn't even make sense anymore, because I'm just like, it was really, honestly, it got kind of embarrassing when I was getting bonuses from work. And then, let's say like your coworkers and stuff, like they talking about what they gonna do with
Oh,
their
yeah.
bonus, and then I'm having to pay credit card debt. And
Yeah.
it's just like, dang, like I get a bonus, or I get something, let's say you get some income taxes or you get some extra money and you can't even use it because you trying to pay off this credit card debt. And I'm just like, it didn't make sense to be going on trips and all that kind of stuff. And I come back and then I have all this credit card debt, or like, what are we really buying with this, with the credit cards, to where it's just like you just getting shoes and clothes
Right.
and all that kind of stuff, and then it's just like you still owe on it 5 years later. Especially now with credit card interest 26%. And I'm just like, when I was first starting to get credit card, like maybe the interest rate was like 13%. Like in interest rates is like 26, 29% now. And so it's like eating it up.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, you know what? I didn't want to have credit card debt anymore. So that's why I think with the, Dave Ramsey not having credit cards, I think we have to get into a way to where how can we have discipline with credit cards? And so for me, really what I want to talk about on the channel, I feel like, credit is easy to get on the one hand, but how can we use it in a way to benefit ourselves? Because I feel like now I'm able to use credit, and I really want to figure out even more how to use credit in a way, but for me, it's really been beneficial for me. So
Yeah. I
that's
think
what I
that
want to talk about.
they've said that there's good debt and there's bad debt. So,
Yep.
you can utilize the credit cards or the good
Mhm.
debt, so to speak, to, purchase something that's going to make you money, you know what I'm saying, and then pay that
Mhm.
off, whether it's purchasing like a property or an investment home or
Yeah.
something like that,
Mhm.
that's going to make you money. So I think, but like you said, it's all about discipline. And a lot of times people don't have discipline. And I'm going to say me sometimes,
Yeah,
I
for
and
sure.
I had to learn that
Mhm.
discipline over credit card. Like you say, we kind of sometimes disassociate. Oh, it's just a credit card. I'll pay it down. I'll pay it off.
Mhm.
Saying,
Mhm.
even though you have the money, you
Yeah.
don't want to use your money. You want to use their money, and then it just starts to accumulate more. And you
Mm.
like you said, how
Wow.
did I get here,
How did I get
Jesus?
here? Right. Mhm.
So, because I was one, I'm gonna pay it off. I'm gonna pay the $500. I'm gonna pay this, that, 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 that.
Yeah, because
And it's
it's
just
yeah, yeah. We think, okay, I'm gonna just buy all this stuff, and oh, I just gotta pay $100 on the minimum
right.
payment.
Yeah.
We just think about the minimum payment, but then it's just like all these years go by and we have all this debt, but then it's just like now I'm thinking, well, what could I really do with the money?
Mhm.
It's like now I have more control. Like, how can I have control over my money?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
so I hope everybody got the credit card. We don't want to stay there, so we want to move to travel. So I hope you guys got that and is locked in and synced in. So let's move to something that's a little bit fun.
Ooh,
Okay.
yes, I love this topic right here.
So travel and lifestyle. So okay,
Mhm.
so you're big on travel points and rewards. So what's first of all, what's your favorite trip you've ever taken with points?
Hmm. Well, I would say a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Well, one, I had went on another trip because I didn't know where we were going. So a friend of mine, she was just like, okay, we're gonna go on this trip with a group, and we didn't know. So we paid our money to go somewhere we didn't know we were going, didn't know where we were gonna be sleeping, didn't know where we were gonna be staying or whatever. And so I'm just like, I don't know about that. And it didn't work out that good, but I had my points and all that kind of stuff. So even though I had paid for that trip, took my time off from work and all that kind of stuff. Once we got there, it wasn't the accommodations that we wanted. So I was just like, dang. But I had my points, I had my cash back. And so I booked a trip to Puerto Rico. So I left Cancun and I booked a trip to Puerto Rico. So the trip probably ended up being, I want to say 3,000, but with all my points and cash back, I think I only ended up spending, I know it was less than 800. I want to say it was about 3 or 400. And so that's how I ended up doing that. But then fast forward this year, so 2024, I said for 2025, for domestic travel, I didn't want to spend any of my money. I just wanted to use all points and cash back. So I've been to Vegas, I went to DC, I went to Chicago. I was supposed to go to Atlanta, but I had to cancel that trip. So there would have been 4 trips that I was able to do points and cash back this year. And so I have 2 other trips. I have another trip. I'm going to Puerto Rico in November. And so for my hotel, I have points for that. But for my flight, I ended up to where I had to pay for my flight there. But and so I haven't decided for 2026 what my goal is gonna be for my points. So I'm just trying to really think about how do I want to do it for 2026.
Ooh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so okay, so I would just say we use points with our Amex card, but it wasn't like that. Like
Which one? Which credit which American Express card do you guys have?
is it I want to say the platinum, but I don't know.
Woo! Now look, that's a little rich for my blood.
I
Cause
want to say the platinum.
that platinum credit card, that annual fee on that one. But you
Hey,
know
yeah,
what?
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
Annual
see,
fee.
that credit card, that is a really good credit card. But I'm not there yet because see, the thing is, I have 14 credit cards, but I want to say six of the credit cards have annual fees. And so the annual fees, I want to say it's up to I want to say 612. I had the American Express Gold card, but I just recently downgraded that. I want to say in August to the American Express Green card. Um, and so I'm more well, I would say low to no annual fee.
Mhm.
But some kind of way I ended up all the way up to $700 for annual fees. And so, now I'm trying to get back down, but I do feel like if you play it right, that's how you can, so I think that the platinum card is a good card and eventually one day I do want to get it, but I think now they even have recently done a increase, so it might be up to what 800, I don't know, on the annual fee. And so I'm just like, ooh, but when you look at all of the perks and the bonuses that they have, it's really a good card.
Yeah. I mean, I know we had, I can't remember because we booked a trip. We booked a trip to Vegas too. And I don't
Hmm.
think it gave us a whole lot off, but we use that more for our business. And so we
Yeah.
don't use it like every day, it's not an
Hmm.
everyday card. So if we used it every day, of course, we probably would have a whole
Yeah,
lot.
because see, I think, yeah, and see, that's what you really want to do. Because especially like for those cards, and see that's what I'm saying. 80 to 90%, really it's only maybe two or three things that I can't use my credit card for. And so that's why I don't. But I will use my credit cards for everything. But especially with me having 14 credit cards, I have to be a little bit more strategic. And so for 2025, I really used three credit cards. And so that was the American Express Hilton Surpass, the the City Platinum American Airlines, and then my Southwest card. So those are really the cards that gave me the most bang for my buck to be able to get the points.
So I was going to ask you that. So what are your go-to cards for beginners versus more advanced travelers?
Um, I would say for a beginner, the Discover It. The Discover It card is a great card, especially for year one, because basically you're almost going to get a 10% cash back the first year. And so with the Discover It, it's broken down into quarters. So every quarter they'll have different things. So maybe they'll have 5% on gas. And so you would want to make sure that you use it for that. So for all that you earn, then it's just like you can, at that end of the year, you will match it. So it almost seemed like 10%. So really it's $75 each quarter. But I would say the Discover It. And I did a balance transfer with the Discover It as well.
Explain to someone what a balance transfer is for those that
So a
don't know.
balance transfer, especially where we were talking about, like for me, I had over $11,000 in credit card debt. And I was just like, I got to get this credit card debt paid down. And so what I did was, because I want to say that I had transferred it from the Bank of America, a Bank of America credit card, over to the Discover It. And so with that, especially now with interest rates being like 26%, 29%, like if you only paying a minimum payment, it's just, it take you 10 years to pay off a credit card. And so to be able to do a balance transfer, I want to say you can really get between 15 and really even upwards of 24, 21 months. So some credit cards have 21 months, but the thing is you want to have a plan. And so I want to say I had ended up paying off the credit card debt within 12 to 13 months. And because if you don't pay it off, either one, you're gonna have to do another balance transfer, or two, you're just gonna have way more debt. And so you really want to have a goal. But to me, that's the way to go. A balance transfer, like I I would tell anybody to do a balance transfer.
All right. So, is there anything else you want to tell people as far as the travel points, the lifestyles? Because we're going to move on to budgeting.
hmm I would say because I really think that it just goes down to the budgeting because I feel like budgeting is gonna be the foundation for everything. And so I would say budgeting.
Okay. So, what's your approach to budgeting that it doesn't feel so overwhelming for people?
Mm, well, I think that I think you want to I think it has to be that you want to have control over your money because you know how let's say you're going to get some extra money coming in and you have all of these ideas that you want to do. But if you don't have a plan for the money, then you go back and you just like, "Dang, what happened?" And then you can't even do it. So it's just like I don't know that I can speak to the overwhelmed part more so that you have to have a desire to want to be in control of your situation. So it's just like, let's say if you being late on your bills or you feel like you don't never have any money, like that's when you want to really take control of your money because I say as well, you know how sometimes you feel like, well, dang, do I really make enough?
Right.
But when you do your budget, so
Mhm.
that's why I say before you even consider getting a job, I always say do a budget. Because once you do a budget and you see where your money is going, then you can say, well, maybe it's not that I need a budget, it's just that I'm not in control of my money. And so with me not being in control of my money, it seems like I don't have any.
Right. Right. Yeah, a lot of times people don't realize, especially now, I use an app, it's called, I think, Rocket Money. And it tells you every time you spend something. So and it will categorize like if you got all of your Netflix accounts or all of your Hulu accounts, whatever you have, and you can actually see, hey, and you can also see that a lot of times people don't even know that certain things that they have on subscription mode is just hitting a credit card
Oh,
every
yes.
whatever, you
That'll
know.
get you right there. Because,
Oh
see, I'm
yeah.
going to tell you, I think this was 2 years ago. I had a subscription and it was a yearly subscription. And because I'll do my budget and I'll review all 14 of my credit cards, even if it's one that I really not using it much. And so the it must have came after I had did my budget, and then since I wasn't using that credit card, I didn't know. And so then one day I'm in Walgreens and City come calling me talking about it's late. I'm like, what then came through? And so it was something that I had signed up for and it went through. And but see, the thing is, since I'm good with my accounts, like I said, even though it was late, man, I came home because at first I thought it was fraud. I came home, I took a look at it, I paid it immediately. I called City and I said, can you reverse this? Let me tell you, they reversed the late fee and they reversed the interest on it. And
Mm,
so they reversed everything. And then I was good to go because they know that my account is always current and stuff like that. And then plus, I saw it before because he really it could have reported, and then if it reported, then that would have been I would have been so upset because then it can make your credit go down because you have late payments on your credit report.
mhm. Yeah, an incident happened like that with Eddie. It was something that came through in a car, and he don't use that car, so he didn't know it came through, and he
Mm-hmm.
got so frustrated because I think it said late payment and all that stuff. Where he was, oh my gosh, is this going to affect my credit? So I said, just call the credit company, tell them what happened, and ask them to reverse it, and they did, and it didn't affect his credit. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that a lot of times, and I had to learn this, or I read it that you can call. Just call to see if they're going to
Oh.
reverse it. Call the
Mm-hmm.
bank, even if you have an NSF, on your bank account. You can call them and
Mm-hmm.
ask them to, reverse it, waive it this one time, this last time,
Yep.
whatever. At least try, to try to
Mhm.
get them to reverse the transaction and work with them. And sometimes they'll work with you.
They will. Sometimes, most of the time they will, because that's what I'm saying. 2 months ago, when I did that, there was three credit cards,
Mm,
three American Express credit cards, and they reversed all of them.
mm, mm. See, if you don't call and try, you never know. So,
If you don't come try, you don't
it,
know.
don't get overwhelmed to feel like, oh my gosh, like it automatically panics and stuff like that. So, just call them.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when it comes to budgeting, people are afraid. Now they're afraid to look at their credit score. I used to be one. And
Hmm.
they're afraid to actually budget. Actually, because budgeting sounds so like non-fun. It
Mm.
really do. It takes the fun out of when you was like, oh my gosh, I got a budget. It just sounds like your life is just gonna be like Dave Ramsey said, beans and rice, rice and beans. You just
But
gonna
it
have.
doesn't have to be. It doesn't, because I think really it's all about how you look at it. Because on the one hand, let's say if you're a business owner, or whatever company you work for, you don't think they looking at, everything that's coming in and coming out. And so I think we have to change our mindset around that to where it's just like, number one, I'm in control. And then that's what I like for my budget to where one, I can allocate whatever I want. So the thing is, it's not to say that you have to, not have any, let's say streaming, or you can't eat out or whatever, but you're the one that's allocating to what you want to allocate to. Now, I can say sometimes it could be, well, I want to maybe take this trip, or I want to maybe do this. So it might be that I need to cut back on going shopping
Right.
because I have this goal that I want to go on a trip, but it's not going to be forever. And so that's why I think budgeting, how we change our mindset around it to where it can be a great thing, because it's just like once I started doing that, because, I was budgeting and then you saving your money. And then I would say for me, because I have a twin sister and she's more of a saver. And so like for me, I'm I will watch my money, but I'm not naturally a saver like her.
Mm.
But I'll tell you, within the past couple of years, just me doing my budget, getting better with things, learning things, and then it's like you transition into different things. And so now I'm into the high yield savings account. Now I'm into the certificates and things like that. And then once you start seeing your money grow and doing that, then that's where you really, so I think it just starts with a budget. The budget is the foundation of everything, because you just want to know where your money is going. If we can, let's say our clothes and stuff like that, if we can make sure everything is the same color is here, and we can make sure our car is clean, how come we can't make sure that our money is in order? Because I feel like if we make sure that our money is in order, then we can see that we can do more. Because I'll say this, a lot of times, people they'll say, really, I'm telling you, like a lot of years, they'll be like, well, you travel all the time, you do this, but it's just like, but what are you doing with your money? You see what I'm saying? Like, we all have the money to do
Yeah.
whatever it is that we want to do, but we look at one person and say they're doing this and I can't do this. But it's
Right.
just like, really, you probably could, but it's just like, if you're not focused on your money and you're not telling your money what to do, then you might feel like you can't do it.
Yeah.
But if you are in control of your money, then I feel like you can do a whole lot more than you probably even really think that you can.
So when you said about savings, high yield savings and stuff, is that
Mhm.
something that you also talk about and have discussed on your channel?
Yeah, I've talked about that. With Navy Federal, I did their certificate, so I probably did that for maybe 2 or 3 years. And then right now, I have the high yield savings with it's Marcus with Goldman Sachs, and so because with the regular savings account, it's probably you can really, the thing is you can have $10,000 in that savings account, and in the whole year, you probably still or earn $11 compared to if you get you a certificate or if you get you a high yield savings, you could earn, 500 or something like that. So even because so I really started with their certificate, and that really helped me because it's like with their certificate, you can't take your money in and out. And
Mhm.
then I didn't want to take the dividend out, so I kept it in there so that I can earn up to the max. And so once I started doing that, then it let me know, well, I don't have to spend every dime that I get, with my checks. It's okay to save money. And then by me putting it in there and I couldn't touch it, it's just like, whoa, I have this money here. And so it really helped me to go from a non-saver to, I'm converted a little bit,
Yeah, yeah,
to being a
yeah.
saver. And so it definitely is beneficial.
So when you say certificate, you mean certificate of deposit, a CD?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I've been in the financial industry for like 25 plus years. So my main thing was around retirement accounts. So IRAs, which in banking, IRAs were most of the time in a certificate of deposit in a CD. So back then, and you were talking about interest, like back then, putting it in a CD was like I remember when it was 13%, 18%. Like
Oh,
you could
oh
get
my goodness.
23%. Like
Dang.
it was
Oh,
high. And I know now, I'm not sure what it is, but I know just being in banking, I have seen it go to less than 1%.
yeah, now, because I want to say a couple of years ago with Navy Federal, it was at its highest at 5%. And even with the high, well, and see what I like about a certificate. Now, while you have to keep your money in there for whatever term you want, 12 months, 14 months, 24 months, 36 months, whatever, by the end that you're going to get this amount. But
Mm,
see, with a high yield savings, the market is going up and down. So
mm,
with the market going up and down, it's not necessarily because it's like right now, especially I have the it's markets with Goldman Sachs. And I want to say 2 years ago it was 5%. And then it was 4.69. And I want to say now I might be at 3.65. But
mm.
they've changed the rates, year over year.
Right.
And so and so really what I want to do is go in and see. I'm pretty sure there's some others, especially on the front end, to where I might be able to get 5%. But it's just like, okay, do I want to move my money, this often or stuff like that? So that's why I really haven't, looked. But
One thing you can
very,
do too, I don't know if David Federal does it, but you can also put that into a Roth IRA.
yeah.
And I'm talking on my language now, but because Roth IRA instead of a traditional, and I kind of talked about this on the podcast earlier today, but you can put it into a Roth IRA for those that are listening, and you can earn tax free earnings as you continue to allow your money to grow. And
Okay.
it's not taught in our community, and I hate this. So when I learned about it, like a lot of I'm just gonna be honest, a lot of white people have learned this and taught it to their children, even how to allow their money to grow even over time. Um,
Mm,
I remember a story was told to me about a little boy, a couple. They own their own, like just say dentist office. They put their child to work to say that their child worked there. Now the child probably about 2 years old, 5 years old. Gave the child a W-2 so that that child can have a Roth IRA. So by the time that they were five to the probably by the time they 55, they can put into that Roth. And by the time that child is 55, no longer a
hmm
child, an adult, they will have
Yeah.
tax-free earnings.
Yeah, it will be a lot at that time. And so I definitely think, especially with that, because it's just like we don't really learn that, or it's just the thing is we just feel okay, I can't let that money sit there for too long. I want to spend it, I want to do something else. And then sometimes we're just not, and rightfully so, especially with the stock market and stuff like that. So where it's just like, I don't know, but yeah, especially with the Roth IRA. And so I'm really looking to, I do have my 401k with my work, but I am really considering getting a Roth IRA.
Yeah, yeah. And just not for you, but just for those that are listening, like you can also get some of them offer 401k, a Roth 401k. And the difference between the two, and you may know this, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, that part.
Area.
Yeah, that's not. Look, my expertise is on the front end. That's gonna be with budgeting and increasing your credit score. So yeah, I'm learning something too.
So with the traditional, because people's like, what's the difference between just an IRA traditional and a Roth? Traditional is where you have to your is tax deferred. So where your money is, the government say, hey, you made 50,000, you want to put 5,000 into a traditional IRA. Okay, so you can just claim 45,000 for your, so you haven't paid taxes on that money.
Yeah.
But by the time you reach retirement age, they're gonna say, hey, we need our money. So you got to start taking that money out. You are required. And so no,
Okay.
that's how they're gonna get their money. Now with a
Mhm.
Roth, you pay 50,000. Hey, it's in there. So you want to open up a Roth, you still got to pay taxes on that 50,000. So that's where it is, the taxes are already done, but you don't have to pay taxes on the earnings, like collecting the interest and all that stuff once you put it into a Roth. So it's
Yeah.
tax-free earnings. So
Okay.
that's the difference between the two, and a lot of people just not taught that. So now
Mhm.
let's move away from that. So when it comes to for someone that's feeling hopeless about their financial situation, what
Mhm.
encouragement would you give them?
Well, I would say that you can start or restart however many times that you need to, because, things happen from time to time. But I think the thing is, either one, you just have to know you have to start. And whatever the situation is, especially if you're paying your bills late, or you getting the phone calls and you getting the stuff in the mail, it's better to go ahead and take a look at it, answer the calls and all that kind of stuff. Because just like there's enough stressors out there, let's not make our money be a stressor. And so that's where I'm always a fan of my four walls. Because I'm telling you, on the one hand, because it's so much credit out here. Like if I live in an apartment, I would be having a credit card to where I can pay my rent. Cause this one guy, cause I was just like, well, I pay all my bills by the 15th of the month using my credit cards and stuff like that. And then he was saying he pay all his bills by the first because he used his credit card to pay his rent and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, because I'm trying to find me a credit card to where I can pay my mortgage, do it that way. And then I would be good to go. So it's like, really, during this time, it's really not a reason in a sense. You know what I'm saying? It's really, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really a reason for our lights to be cut out or
Mhm.
our car to be repossessed or we don't have food or get put out of your apartment. Because if I like if I put all of my bills on my credit card and then I just got to use my money for my out of my check for my rent or my mortgage, if that's what I got to do to be able to live, then how can I do that for a little bit so that I have my four walls covered? So it's just like, how can we sit down and really use credit as a benefit opposed to using credit where it can be not a benefit to us to where we are using it for the wrong things. And so that's how I like to do it and use it that way to where it's just like, how can my four walls be covered to where I know that I have a place to lay my head, I got lights, heat, air, and then, I got a car to drive, and then everything else is going to fall into place. And so I think but we have to do a budget and we have to know how much we have coming in compared to going out, how much we have left over. And then if we have credit card debt, because I'm not going to say it's just so horrible. Sometimes it might have to be a season where you have to have credit card debt, but how can I do it in an organized way? So it's like,
Right.
I'm never going to judge anybody for whatever they need to do because I have paid my fair share of interest with credit cards.
Mhm.
And and who knows, what can happen. So it's like, I'm not downing anybody for doing it, but how can we still do it organized to where maybe it doesn't have to be to where I'm paying so much interest or
Right.
paying it all the time, but this happened this month and stuff happens. And so maybe this month I might have to do it, but how can I do it in an organized way? So we just have to be organized with our finances. And I think if we can do that, then that can take away a lot of our headaches.
I love it. Thank you so much, Tasha. This has been
Mhm.
so informative. Like it has been like it's been so good. It has been so good.
I hope. I
Um,
hope.
it has. I promise you, girl, you helped me, child, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch this, take me some notes on it.
Yay.
So let me ask you this. So what's next for the major change group? What is next for you?
So what's next for me? One, I'm just gonna keep being, well, I'm gonna start being more consistent. And then two, I really, because especially with credit card utilization, it's like I really want to trend for credit card utilization, because I'm telling you, it's a way. Because even for me, even let's say if you feel like you don't have it and you need to use credit to get where you need to be, use credit so that you can get where you need to be. So it's just like, but how can we use it in a productive way. And so that's really what I want to get people to where we don't have to be afraid of credit, but we don't have to abuse credit as well. And so that's really credit card utilization is like that's where I really want to trend on so that people really understand. It's just like I love to talk about credit cards and then especially credit card utilization because to me it's all about learning and I like to do little tips and tricks and how can I do this or how can I do that so I can learn different things. And so it's like I really want to be able to even do more with credit, but not be scared. And so I do what I can, you know what I'm saying? And so but it's really exciting to me. And so, so I love to talk about credit.
So where can people find you and get connected with you?
Yeah, so I'm really mostly on YouTube. So you can find me. So I'm Tasha for the Major Change Group, and you can find me on my YouTube at the Major Change Group. And it's like sometimes I shouldn't even say it. I am on Instagram, but y'all, I probably haven't posted on Instagram probably about 2 years. Now,
Yeah.
big Instagram, but I really don't even be posting on Insta. I really don't post like that. And so it's like on the one hand, it's like that's why I say that it's so crazy that I'm even on YouTube because it's just like on the one hand, I'm not really a social media kind of person on the one hand. And so, but I do the YouTube videos, and so I'm gonna, be more consistent. But I have probably over 600 videos on my YouTube channel just talking about credit, budgeting, student loans, and credit cards, being able to decrease, well, being able to increase your credit score and pay off debt. So
And see, when I DM'd you on Instagram, I said, I checked to see when the last time people posted to see if their Instagram is active. I said, you know
you,
what? I don't think she's gonna answer this DM.
yeah, that's and then what be so funny though, because see somebody can message me, and then it could be days before I go on there. But it's like me and my sister, I be sending my sister Instagram stuff all the time,
Yeah.
and so. But I was so surprised that I had went on there and I had saw it. And so I just ended up going on there because it could be days to where I might even go on there, but I won't go into my messages. And so
Yeah.
I just so happened to go in there and I saw it. I'm just like, oh my God, I saw it because man, you send me a message on Instagram and it could be a minute before I see
I was gonna say, oh, I was gonna get in your comment section on YouTube and say, go to
it.
your DM.
Yeah, cause I that's the thing on my YouTube channel. You send me a comment on YouTube, I most of the time I message you within 24 hours. But it's like Instagram, and then especially with social media, it's just like for one, I don't be seeing it. Sometimes it'll fall into somewhere to where you really don't see it anyway. And so, and I was just so surprised that I saw that. I said, yeah, let me get in. So at first, I'm just like, hold on, let me make sure there ain't no spam. And then,
Oh, yeah.
wasn't no spam. And so, yeah.
Let me ask you this. I don't know if you started this, but are you starting some kind of teaching courses or something like that to where you can coach people one-on-one, hands-on?
That is funny. No, well, it's just like so I have an Etsy shop, and on my Etsy shop, I have a digital budget planner and I have where you can do a one-on-one, but it's just I have thought about, okay, is there something to where even if I could create, because it's like on YouTube, they have the where you can have like a membership, and I kind of
Mhm.
thought about that, but it's just like sometimes with me not being as consistent, it's just like, do I want to do something like that? But even with me not being as consistent, I'm always thinking of things. And so I have a lot of things that I want to do. But yeah, but I think one, just being more consistent, because it's like when you go on to the channel, like even with you watching the videos, it can help. And even with somebody, they messaged me, and I want to say two people had got with me this week. And I was just like so surprised when I saw that. And but it just lights me up sometimes when, and then people will message in the comments and stuff. So I have my regular people that message, but even if you go onto the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see things that can help you to be able to. But I'm telling you, with YouTube and with let's say Chat GPT, and then just learning like we really, especially with our credit, like you really don't have to do credit repair. Because I'll tell you myself, like learned so much in regards to my credit report and my credit score to where we can do it ourselves, but we really have to have that burning desire to want to do it.
I love your passion for it because you know how, people like you're actually living in your passion. Don't know what you do outside of, your credit and what you do on YouTube, but you're
Hmm.
actually because the excitement in it and you loving to help people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how far you want to go with it, but I actually can see you like teaching in classes and stuff. Even though you said, this was a step for you, but I actually can see you actually teaching classes and offering courses and one-on-ones and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm not sure how far you're going to go with it, but I actually can see you doing a whole lot more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I really appreciate that. I receive it.
so any final words before we exit this podcast? Anything you want to
Okay.
say?
Well, I would just say, just to sum everything up, especially with how everything is going right now, I think it's just a benefit to one, get a piece of paper if that's all where you can start and really just create a budget for yourself. And really, if you don't want to call it a budget, allocation of funds or anything, but just writing it down on paper to know how much we have coming in compared to going out, and then how much we have left over, and then how much debt, just get organized with that, and then just take it step by step. And so it doesn't mean that you have to cut anything out. Just see where you are now, and then as you get going, then you can say, well, maybe I need to do this and maybe I need to do that. And then as far as credit, we have to get our credit good, get that high credit score over a 700 to where we can get the credit cards, get the low interest rate on the car auto loans, and lines of credit or whatever. But we want to get our credit good before we really need it. So I would say those are the main things that I have to say.
Well, thank you so much, Tasha. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time, the energy, the passion, everything that you brought to this channel and everything that you brought to this podcast, because I know the listeners are going to hear the enthusiasm in your voice, and it's going to encourage and inspire them to look at their credit, get it together, get a budget, and all the things so that they can have a better 2026 because 2020
Yeah.
is closing out.
Yeah. Y'all, we gotta lock in. We got 3 months. We just started fourth quarter, so we really need to lock in so that in 2026 we can really have a good 2026.
Amen. So I want to say, as always, thank you, God. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, make sure that you like it, and give us a review. Share it to someone who needs it, because who don't need this information in this day and hour, you guys? They need it. So, like I say, until next time, keep growing, keep loving, and keep stepping into your next era. Bye.